Welcome to our deep dive, everybody. This time we're going down the rabbit hole into the world of Alice in Wonderland. And the big question, of course, was Alice actually mad?
Well, it's interesting you say that because some scholars suggest what seems like madness to us might just be a psychological phenomena we understand better now than back then.
So not madness, but something we now have a name for.
Exactly. We'll be diving deep into that today, and I have some research here on psychology and social commentary to really dissect Alice's journey and all that disturbing evidence.
All right, let's get into it then. So like the Cheshire Cat vanishing, the potions that make you small, cakes that make you grow, are we saying those aren't signs of madness?
Well, they're often seen that way. But what if it's a reflection of something deeper, like maybe a trauma response?
Wait, so you're saying her going down the rabbit hole, that wasn't just a random adventure, like it was her coping with something really intense.
Yeah, think about it. Falling into this world that makes no sense, rules are changing all the time. That's got to be disorienting, right? Almost like a trauma.
So like when I zone out in a tough work meeting, is that Alice, but a much bigger scale.
You got it. Dissociation, that's what it's called. Your mind's like, nope, too much, got to detach. And for Alice, the rabbit hole might symbolize that, leaving a reality that's too hard.
Whoa, that changes how you see the whole story. And the thing she runs into, too.
Oh, absolutely. Like the Mad Hatter, right? Wild eyes, talking nonsense. He's like the poster boy for madness.
So are you saying he wasn't actually mad?
Maybe what we're seeing isn't madness, but sensory overload. Think of Wonderland sights, sounds, nothing makes sense. Even the tea party is wild.
Huh. Never thought of it like that. But yeah, constant overload like that, I can see how someone would act erratic.
There's actually research on this. In psychiatry research, they found being in chaotic places for too long, it causes anxiety, confusion, even outbursts. Mad Hatter is just a victim of where he is, maybe.
So not mad, just overstimulated. I kind of feel that. This world's a lot sometimes. Demands, information. It's a lot to process.
It really is. And it makes you think, are we too quick to label anyone who acts different as mad when maybe they're just reacting to their environment?
That's true. Mad Hatter's just one example, but are we missing something bigger here?
I think so, yeah. We call anything outside the norm madness, but what if we're misinterpreting? What if there's more to it than we realize?
Okay, so much to think about already, and we haven't even gotten to Wonderland itself, where up is down and logic just takes a holiday.
Exactly. Imagine trying to live in that constantly. Now, there's this concept called cognitive dissonance.
Uh-oh. Sounds complicated.
It's that feeling you get when you got to deal with beliefs or information that clash. Makes you uncomfortable.
So Alice is seeing stuff that doesn't fit her reality and that's causing her, mental stress. A puzzle that can't be solved.
You got it. And studies show that dissonance, it can lead to anxiety, confusion, even acting irrational. It's like, the puzzle's rules keep changing on Alice, poor girl.
It's like trying to figure out social media these days. Everyone's saying something different, so much information, hard to know what's true.
That's a great comparison. We're always getting info that challenges what we think, and yeah, it gets disorienting for sure. Just like Alice.
Okay, but here's a thought. What if Alice is the sane one? What if the world around her went nuts?
That's a very interesting question. It makes you wonder, what is madness, really? Just being different? Misunderstood, maybe?
We do tend to call anything crazy if it doesn't fit in the box. But what if it's not crazy, just different?
It's crucial to think about that, We jump to labels, especially when it comes to women, like their behavior doesn't fit.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Women being called hysterical just for having feelings or, challenging things.
Sadly, it's been happening for ages.
Yeah.
And Alice's story, it kind of reflects that. She's curious, independent, questions authority in a man that's praised, but in a woman.
Oh, right. Society can't handle a woman who thinks for herself. I bet lots of women listening know what that feels like, being called difficult just for speaking up.
There's actually a term, the double bind. Women are stuck, assertive, aggressive, emotional, unstable. There's no winning.
So maybe Alice being called mad is just society's way of dealing with a powerful woman, trying to silence her, put her back in her place.
It's a chilling thought, but it makes you see how our expectations, gender roles, they all color how we see sanity and madness.
Makes you wonder how many amazing women were dismissed just because they didn't fit the mold.
A question worth asking for sure.
So how do we break free from these labels then? How do women take back their power, define themselves?
That's a big question, and one we'll definitely be exploring further in the next part of our deep dive.
Because Alice's journey It's more than just a fun story. It's got these layers of meaning, much more than we realize at first.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, she wasn't mad at all.
A visionary ahead of her time, perhaps?
Could be.
A woman who dared to challenge everything, explore the unknown, see the world her own way.
And in a way, aren't we all trying to do that too?
I think so. That's why her story still resonates, even centuries later. So stay tuned. We'll be back soon to delve even deeper into the fascinating world of Alice in Wonderland. We're back, and I'm still thinking about how Alice's madness might be more about how society treats women who are different.
You know, it's funny you should say that. Her constantly changing size, it's almost like a metaphor, isn't it?
Right. Like sometimes she's too big, sometimes too small, never quite fitting in no matter what she does.
Exactly. That feeling of not belonging. So many women experience that, trying to meet all these expectations.
We're supposed to shrink ourselves to fit these roles, these boxes. But Alice, she keeps growing and shrinking, breaking out of those boundaries.
And those transformations, they could even reflect how fluid gender identity is. Like, it's not fixed, it can change, evolve over time.
Whoa, okay, so going through Wonderland, it's not just Alice figuring herself out, it's about her relationship with gender too.
Precisely. She's exploring different sides of herself, pushing back against those traditional roles. It's a powerful message, especially for women who feel trapped by expectations.
It's like she's saying, forget your boxes, I'll be whoever I want to be.
Yeah.
And she can change whenever she wants.
Exactly. Taking control of her own story, even if it means going into the unknown, which is what makes her journey so fascinating, psychologically speaking.
Oh, right. Wonderland could be like her own mind.
Yeah.
Right. All those weird encounters, deeper meaning.
Think about it. Dream psychology says mazes and labyrinths, they're like symbols for our inner world. And Alice is always in those confusing places, like she's facing her own struggles.
So the Cheshire Cat, the Mad Hatter, the Queen, those are all parts of her, like metaphorically.
Could be, yeah. The Med Tea Party, for example. All those crazy conversations, rituals, that could be our chaotic inner world. The part we try to hide, you know?
The part that worries what others think. The self-doubt, the confusion, we all have that stuff swirling around inside.
And by facing those figures, Alice is facing those hidden parts of herself. It's a journey of self-discovery, but also self-acceptance.
So to grow, we got to embrace the shadow side, the stuff we want to keep hidden.
It's often in those dark places that we find our true strength, you know?
Yeah.
And Alice shows us that. But there's also something else to consider about her journey. Escapism.
Oh, yeah, good point. She literally goes to a fantasy world to deal with her real life, all the emotions, the pressure.
And while we think of escaping as bad, for her, it might have been healthy. A way to cope.
There's actually research saying getting into fantasy, like through books or games or even daydreaming, it's good for us.
Right. It's like giving our minds a vacation, a break from all the demands. We get to explore, be creative, use our imagination.
And process hard stuff, see things differently, connect with ourselves again.
Exactly. Sometimes those fantasy trips can help us understand ourselves and the world better. Like Alice, it might seem nonsense, but there's wisdom there if you look.
So when reality's too much, a little fantasy's okay. Getting lost in a world where anything's possible can be good for us.
And where the rules are flexible, you can bend them, break them, make your own. It's about taking back your power, your creativity.
Remembering that sense of wonder.
Exactly. It's in those escapes, those fantasies, that we find what we truly want, what we're capable of. We might even find a whole new way to be.
And like we see with Alice, finding yourself can be scary and exciting all at once. You gotta embrace the unknown, challenge the rules, and find your own path.
Exactly. And that's what we'll be looking at more closely in the final part of our deep dive.
We're back, and I gotta say, this deep dive into Alice in Wonderland has been mind-blowing. Who knew a children's story could be so deep?
It just shows you great literature. It explores what it means to be human, no matter how fantastical the setting.
It's true. We've talked about so much drama, societal pressure, gender identity, even escapism.
Alice's journey, it's like a metaphor for all the challenges we face, especially as women, I think.
Yeah, that feeling of being lost, not fitting in, trying to make sense of a world that just feels, I don't know, illogical, overwhelming sometimes.
It is, but Alice, she never gives up, does she? Keeps exploring, keeps questioning, searching for her own truth.
She's kind of a rebel
Yeah.
in this whimsical way.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lesson in that for everyone.
Absolutely. It's okay to embrace the inner madness, you know?
Yeah.
Challenge the norms, make your own path.
Like stand up and say, world, I'm making my own Wonderland where I can be myself completely.
That's the spirit. And for women especially, that message is so important. Society tries to put us in these boxes, but Alice shows us we don't have to stay there.
So before we wrap up this amazing deep dive, any key takeaways for our listeners out there, things they can actually use?
Well, remember mindfulness. Feeling overwhelmed, like you're falling down that rabbit hole. Breathe. Ground yourself in the moment.
Yeah, good one. And boundaries. You don't have to go to every crazy tea party. Saying no is okay. It protects your well-being.
And most importantly, never stop exploring. Never stop questioning. Don't be afraid to see the world your own way.
Because, like Alice taught us, the best adventures, they start when you leave your comfort zone. You go into the unknown, and you just see what happens.
And you might be surprised what you find on the other side. It could be a whole new world of possibilities.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the mind of Alice, everyone.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've enjoyed exploring these ideas with us, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.